My name is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel, Take Journey with Ankit. This is part 2 of our scenario-based interview questions, where we will discuss the frequently asked scenario-based questions during your Salesforce interview. In case you folks didn't got a chance to check out the part 1, I will put the link in the video description. Do check that out. So let's get started with the part 2 now. Before we get started, in case you folks like to connect with me, you can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can connect with me on the LinkedIn as well. And you can also join the Telegram group where we discussed all these different types of questions that you get encounter in your Salesforce journey. So the first question for today is there is an object which is having the 5 fields. The requirement is that when a user creates a new record from the Salesforce UI, all the 5 fields should be visible on the page. However, once the record is saved and on the detail page is displayed, only 3 of these fields should be visible. How you can achieve that? So, on creation, all the 5 fields should be visible, but once the record is saved, only 3 fields should be visible. Again, don't go for the custom solution like the LWC or the Visual Force page, because here this question it is basically asked to cover the admin part. So just think about it, pause the video and let me know the answers in the comment section in case you do have any clue. Okay, let's go and check out the answer for this. So what we will do to handle this scenario, we will take the help of the record types. So the approach that we will follow here is we will be creating the 2 page layout. Let's say that the page layout name is page layout 1 and the page layout 2. Page layout 1 will have all the 5 fields that needs to be displayed on the creation of the new record, and the page layout 2 only have the 3 fields that needs to be displayed on the once the record is saved. After that, we will be creating the 2 different record types. First record type will be available when the record is created. And as soon as the record is created, we will take the help of the flow to change the record type ID, so that when the record is created, the updated value of the record ID will be there, and that updated record type ID value will be tagged to the page layout too. So in this solution, we will be using the 2 page layouts, 2 record types, which will be tagged to the each page layout, and one flow, which will be changing the record type ID for the record as soon as the record is saved. Alternate solution that can also be possible by using the dynamic forms, where you can control the visibility based on the record status. Okay, so that option is also possible where you can use the formula field in the dynamic forms and control the visibility. It's completely up to you which solution you want to go for. Next question: how do you ensure that user A cannot see user B's data and user B cannot see the user A data? This is again one of the most frequently asked question to evaluate your security system logic or your security understanding in the Salesforce, where they do have the 2 different personas or the 2 different users where they don't want each other should see the record. Again, how you go and design the system. Whenever this type of question has been asked, make sure that you are walking the interviewer from the entire security management module. For example, here what we will do, so that the users cannot see each other's record, first thing we have to make sure that their OWD setup is private. Whatever the records that we are talking about, for that object, the setup needs to be the private at the OWD level. Next thing, we have to make sure that the user A and the user B, they are not falling under the same role hierarchy. In case they are falling under the role hierarchy, then one of the persona can see each other's record, and we don't want that. So that is the second consideration that we have to keep in mind. Third one that we have to take care here is we have to avoid creating any sharing rule using which the records can be exposed from user A or to the user B. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are not writing such kind of a sharing rules here. Moreover, we have to make sure that both the user A and the user B don't have the advanced permissions. For example, like the view all or the modify all, these types of permissions are not available on the profile. That's what I said. Whenever these types of question has been asked, make sure that you are helping the interviewer with all the possible scenarios that comes to your mind. Let's move to the next question now. So we do have the 2 users, let's say user A and the user B. User A can see user B's data, but user B cannot see user A's data. How could you be, what could be the reason for this? Okay, so you do have the two users. Again, this scenario is bit different from the previous one. In the previous one, both of the users cannot see each other's record, but in this scenario, user A can see the user B's data, but the user B cannot see the user A's data. How could you be design that? Again, if you know the answer, which I hope you might know, right? Do pause the video and let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, let's go and check the solution for this. So what we will do here is, this can be happen due to many reasons. First one, this can be happen due to the sharing rule. There might be a sharing rule that has been written which is exposing the user B's data to the user A. Okay, but there might not be a sharing rule which is exposing the user A data to user B. So again, this question is very generic, so you have to consider all the possible scenarios. Another possibility here is user A might be positioned higher in the role hierarchy, which is giving them the access to the user B's data. So if the user B is lower in the hierarchy or on the same level without explicit sharing, then it won't be able to see the user A's data. So that can be another possibility. So the sharing role hierarchy, there might be a possibility that user A can see the user B's data because user B have manually shared that record with the user A. So manual sharing is also one of the possibility here. And the last one here is user A might have the permissions like the view all or modify all, which is giving the user a broad level of access. Okay, so all these possibilities you have to keep in mind whenever you are answering any security related question. Next one, we have a record that has been shared with user A and that is granting only the read access. The record belongs to a custom object and user A only has the view only permission on this specific record. So try to understand the scenario. We do have a custom object and we do have a user A. On that custom object, user A only have the view only permission. However, the user A profile grants them both the view and the edit permission for that custom object. So at the record level, they only have the view only permission, but at the profile level, the user have both view and the edit permissions. Now the question is, will user A be able to edit this specific record since their profile allows it? So at the profile level, user have both permissions, view and the edit. At the record level, user have only view permission. Now the question here is, user A will be able to edit this specific record since the profile is allowing it. Give a thought and let me know the reasoning in the comment section. So the answer is no. The user A will not be able to edit the record because the sharing setting restrict them to the view only access. So whenever this type of question has been asked, always keep one rule in mind. That is, the restrictive settings will always win. So in this scenario, the restrictive setting here is the user A having the view only access getting from the record level. That is the restrictive setting here. As this is the restrictive setting, it will always win. That means the user A will not be able to edit the record because the sharing setting restrict them. Okay, so this type of questions required lots of reasoning. There might be a cross questioning as well. He might or the interviewer might tweak the scenario for you so that you might be get confused, but always keep this rule in mind that the restrictive setting will always win. If you do have this concept in mind, you will answer this type of questions very easily. Next one, user has create, read, update and the delete permissions on an object and a record has been shared with them with the view only access. Now again we do have the user A. User A have the create, read, update and the delete permissions on an object list. And a record is again shared only with the view only access. Okay, just now we discussed that the restrictive settings always win, but again this is an exception to it. So let's try to understand that. Despite this, user A is still able to edit the record, although the record level access is view only and the object level permissions is create, read, update and delete. Despite this also, user A is still able to edit the record even though they are not the owner of that record. Again, the key point that you have to remember here is the record is shared only with the view only permission access. So what could be the possible reason here that the restrictive setting is not winning? Because just now we discussed in the last example that the restrictive settings always win. But this is a complete conflict to it. Here, the restrictive setting is not winning. User only have the view only permission access, but still the user can perform the edit operation. What could be the possible reason for this behavior? Okay, let's go and check that out. In case you know, pause the video and let me know the answers in the comment section. The most likely the user A is able to edit the record despite it's being shared with the view only access is because of certain exceptions. First exception here is the user A might have the modify all data or the view all data permissions on their profile. That is one of the possibility that the user A have the modify all or the view all data permissions which is coming up either from the profile or the permission set level. Second possibility here is the user A is the manager of the record owner. Here they mention that the user A is not the owner of that record, but there can be possibility that user A is something which is sitting higher in the role hierarchy than the record owner. Right? Another possibility here is because of the manual sharing or the Apex sharing override, right? The user A can go and access the record and perform the edit operation as well. Opaque sharing is again one of the exception which can cause the records to be edited as well. So you have to remember all these three different reasoning behind this, due to which the restrictive settings when rule can be conflicted. So the three possibilities here are modify all or the view all data permission, record ownership or the managerial access, and the third one here is manual sharing or the apex sharing override. Next question. You have two teams, energy industry sales and the IT industry sales. Both team works with the account object. So there are two teams here. One is the energy industry sale and second one is the IT industry sales. And both the teams they work on the account object. Now the requirement here is the energy sales team should only see the accounts where the industry is set to energy, while the IT sales team should only see the accounts where the industry is set to IT. How could you configure to ensure that each teams only see the relevant account records? So kind of a scenario here is your account object have the 1,000 records, but there are 500 records for the energy sales team and the 500 records for the IT team. So when the energy team users were logged in, they should only see those 500 records out of those 1,000 records. Similarly, when the IT user will logged in, IT user should only see those 500 records out of those 1,000 records. How can you meet this requirement? The answer is very, very simple. You have to make sure that first at the OWD level, the setup is private so that both the team users cannot see all the records. So that is the very first step that you have to do. After that, there can be more than one users. So basically, you have to do the bulk sharing of the records here because here we are talking about the teams. So there can be bulk sharing of record that needs to be done. So to share the records in bulk, you have to either take the help of the roles or the public group. I'll suggest here to go for the public group because in a team there can be different users with the different hierarchy. So you can have one public group and add all the roles in that public group. Okay, so create a public group, or in case it is very much straightforward, you can also go for the roles as well. Okay, once you have created the public groups, once you have set up the OWD, then the last and the very important thing that you will do here is you will be creating the criteria based sharing rule. So there are two types of sharing rules that we do have. One is the ownership based and second one here is the criteria based. In this example, we will go for the criteria based sharing rule so that energy industry records will be shared with the energy sales team and the IT industry records will be shared with the IT sales team because they have given a criteria here where the industry is set to energy or the industry is set to IT. We will take the help of the criteria based sharing rules to answer this. Next question. When the customer account is flagged with a credit issue, the checkbox field credit issue on the account object is checked. Okay, and all the opportunities associated with the accounts should be frozen. So they do have a requirement that whenever the credit issue checkbox is checked on account object, all the open opportunities associated with that account should be frozen. What I mean from the frozen here is no new modifications can be done on the open opportunities. How you can make sure that the user should not be making any changes on the frozen opportunities? Very simple. You just have to go and think about it out of the box. Although the requirement looks a bit complex, but the solution, trust me, it's very simple. Give a pause and think about it and put the solution into the chat box or in the comment section. The solution here is you will do that with the help of validation rule. So what you will do here is you will use the cross object formula in the validation rule. In the validation rule, you will check whether the account credit issue flag is true or not. If that value is true and user is changing any of the key fields on the opportunity object, then you will go and block the user. When I ask this type of question in the interview, people generally think about the flows and the triggers. You don't have to make every question complex. Sometimes the interviewer might be expecting you some out of the box solution, and you should also think something like that. Right? With the help of simple validation rule, you can go and make sure that the opportunities are not getting modified, and you can give an appropriate message to the users as well. Next question, how would you configure to automatically share an account with the account executive and the pre-sales consultant, given that the account sharing is set to private? Okay, so question is bit tricky. So let's try to understand how would you configure the Salesforce account so that automatically you can share an account with the two teams. One is the account executive and second one is the pre-sales consultant. Given that the default sharing setting is set to private, so you are not allowed to change your sharing setting here. You have to make sure that it will be private. When I say you are not allowed to change the sharing setting, means you are not allowed to create the roles, you are not allowed to create the sharing rules or the manual sharing. Okay, ensure that here you have to ensure that the account executive has the read write access and the pre-sales consultant only has the read access. How you can do that? The answer is very simple. In case you guys are familiar with the concept of teams, Salesforce do offer the concept of teams for the few standard objects like the account, opportunity, as well as cases. So here the concerning object here is an account object, so we will be creating the account teams here. For that you have to go and enable the account teams. After that, configure the different roles in that account teams, and once you have done that, you have to manually go at the account level and add that team. While adding the team, you can specify what kind of access that you want to extend for the different team members. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the few standard objects like the account object, opportunity object, or the case object, do remember that they do have the concept of teams as well. A client requests a daily report on all the opportunities closed in the last 24 hours. Email to all sales manager. Okay, the client is requesting a daily report in that needs to be emailed to all the sales manager. How do you automate this? Again, you don't have to go for the flow, because when I ask this type of questions in the to the interviewer was thinking about the with the help of flows we can go and trigger to generate the report. You don't have to go and take that path. Again, I'm not sure whether it is possible to generate the triggers or generate the reports by triggering it from the flow. I'm not familiar with that concept, whether it is possible or not. But the very simple solution here is you will be creating the Salesforce report. Salesforce report will give you an option to schedule it. You can schedule the report to run daily and email to the public group containing all the sales manager. You don't have to always go and think about the flows and the triggers. Out of the box, Salesforce tool do provide lots of options to make your job easy. Next question. Your organization uses a custom object called project, which has the lookup relationship to the account object. How to ensure that the lookup field on the project should only show the active account? So whenever the user is creating the project, User have to make sure that the list that is coming up for the list of account, it should only have the active account. How you can make sure that? Again, the answer is very simple. You can be ensuring that by again putting the lookup filter. Lookup filter is again out of the box functionality that you can define on the lookup field. On the lookup field, you can define the criteria, what all different records should be visible. So in this scenario, we will define the criteria of the account object. Whenever the active value is true, only those accounts should be coming up. Okay, so this is how you can ensure that the lookup field on the project object should only show the new accounts. Now, the next question, your organization uses a Salesforce Service Cloud and have custom object called the support request. There are few key pointers here that I want to highlight. First one here is the object here is the custom object. Okay, called the support request to manage the customer service request. The support object request has a field called priority and another field called status. So there are two fields available on the support request object. Now your company wants to streamline the handling of the support request. Specifically, they want to make sure that whatever the high priority support request that they are getting, okay, they are assigned to the specific team of agents for the timely resolution. So they do have one dedicated team. They want any high priority support requests are coming, they can assigning it by using the they are assigning it in a timely manner. So how you go and solve this problem? Again, before you go and answer or think about the answer, to make sure that here we do have the custom object. Okay, not a standard object. Standard object, when I mean from the standard object, is it is not a standard object like case that we use to track the support request. Here they are using the custom object. So how you will go and handle that? So in Salesforce, whenever we have to handle the records that needs to be actioned, we always take the help of the queue. So what we will do to answer this solution, we will first create a queue in the Salesforce and define the queue members to it. Queue members are those to which we have to notify as soon as the high priority support request is created. So we will be adding those queue members into it. As I said, this is the custom object. You cannot go and write down assignment rules. Because when I ask this type of question, people generally jump directly into the assignment rules. But do remember that assignment rules options are not available for the custom object. It is only available for the standard object like case. So what you will do to make sure that the case has been assigned to the high priority queue, you will take the help of the record triggered flow. As soon as the record is created, you will check the priority, and in case the priority is high, and then you go and assign that to the high priority queue that you have created. Alternatively, you can also suggest the app exchange products as well. There are lots of app exchange products which do provide the assignment management for the custom objects. But out of the box, Salesforce does not provide any assignment rules for the custom object. So make sure that you are answering this very clearly after hearing the question. Now there are few questions that I want you guys to attempt and let me know the answers in the comment section. The first question here is, recently your team has noticed that some important field updates on the account object needs to be monitored with the old values and the new values. Okay, so as soon as some key fields on the account object have been changed, they want to track what was the old value and what is the new value. How you can do that? What out of the box functionality in the Salesforce will help you to achieve this functionality? Do let me know in the comment section. Next question. Your company is rolling out a new process for handling the service request within the Salesforce. The service request object has the two fields, service type and the priority level. So there are two pick list fields which are available, service type and the priority level. You need to configure this field so that the priority level options do vary based on the selected service type. Okay, so there you do have the two pick list field where the values available in the priority level, it should vary based on the selected service type. Again, what out of the box function that you can use to meet this requirement in the Salesforce, do let me know in the comment section. I hope you folks found this session helpful and got few learnings in this session. In case you do have any feedback, in case you encountered any other questions in your Salesforce interviews, do let me know in the comment section. I will collaborate all of these and prepare a new video for that. Thank you. Have a good time.